Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Chiwete Onyema. The top stories at this hour. Voting ends, counting begins in the local government elections held across Lagos State. Northern states converge for public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Government of Cameroon sets presidential election dates for October 12th. Details coming up next. Voting has ended in the local government elections held across Lagos State's 20 LGAs and 37 LCDAs, with residents turning out peacefully to elect chairmen and councillors. At President Bola Tinubu's polling unit, Unit 022, Ward F, Alausa Ikeja, officials of the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission arrived early, allowing accreditation and voting to proceed smoothly. By 8:40 a.m., voters had begun casting their ballots. Security personnel were visibly present throughout the process, helping to maintain order while party agents monitored proceedings. Similar voting activity took place at polling units 027, 113, 038, and 112. Meanwhile, some voters shared their thoughts on the process.
There's a polling unit just close to our house, close by. Though the electoral officials, yes, they came late. One of them just passed now, so we are still waiting for them to set up their things. Then we'll go out for voting. I still believe for a better Nigeria. We are still hoping for that. So definitely, we are the ones to make things work. So we have to come out. I believe things will go well. So people are out. People are just that the streets. No, the street is dry because of the no movement thing, but people are out. People are coming out to vote, yes. We still believe.
So at this moment, it's a low turnout for now, but I believe that at the end of the day, people will come out definitely to vote. Because of the weather, the weather is cold, so it's keeping a lot of people indoors for now. But I believe that at the end of the day, they will come out. The election is peaceful. It's very, very peaceful, I can tell you that, because I live in this neighborhood and I know. And I just come out of my house and I went around to see what's going on. And I believe it's peaceful. We have to give them a chance to prove themselves. We are doing our own civil right to vote for them. But it's not left for them to prove to us that what we are doing, we are not doing it in vain. That's what I see. And I believe they will do better than before.
Also, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has casted his vote in the ongoing local government elections. He voted alongside his wife, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, at polling unit 006, Ward E, located at St. Stephen's Nursery Primary School, Adeniji-Adele, Lagos Island. The couple arrived at the polling unit around 11 a.m. to participate in the election to choose a chairman and councillors for the Lagos Island local government area. Voting commenced at the unit as early as 8 a.m. with electoral officials present to conduct the process. The local government poll marks a key exercise in grassroots governance across Lagos State, with residents casting their ballots in various wards and polling units. To discuss more on the ongoing local government elections in Lagos State, we are being joined now by public affairs analyst Fred Zako and political analyst Abiodun Shomi. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us right now. All right, I'm hoping both of you can hear me. All right, Mr. Fred, I'm hoping you can hear me right now. Or Abiodun Shomi, whichever the case now. Just talk to me about how you would rate the conduct of the local government elections so far.
Well, from what we're hearing and from what we see, there are some challenges. Many of the voters did not turn out. And there are reports of incidents of people who couldn't find their name on the register and political parties complaining. But I think it's better for us to wait and see until the end of the elections for us to know the overall result. But the reports we are getting are mixed. In some places, it appears things are going well, while in others, things are not going as properly as they should.
Now, there's something that seems to be constant in local government elections, especially not just now, but what we've seen happen over time, and that is low turnout of voters. Local government is supposed to be the grassroots government when it comes to, labeling it in terms of how it affects, the immediate public. Why do you think we have lower turnouts when it comes to local government elections as opposed to presidential elections or even gubernatorial elections?
Well, like you did see, even at the general election in 2023, we had close to 90 million registered voters. At the end of the day, less than 30 million persons voted. So this is the same reason why at the local government level, even if you have millions of people who are registered, most of the times they don't turn out, particularly with experiences. Some people had ugly experiences in 2023 elections. And, at the federal elections, is more hotly contested. But across the federation, states simply do whatever they like through their state electoral commissions in terms of simply the ruling party doing the winner takes all and leaving one or two maybe councillorship seats for the opposition. So it's like people are tired of simply going out to vote and the votes are not counting. And so if you give people the impression that whatever they do, you return whatever result you like, then many people will simply sit at home and say there is no need. But if people believe that their votes will count, you will see them pour out in the numbers to the polling units to exercise their franchise.
Let's talk about the Independent Electoral Commission, especially the Lagos chapter last year. Do you think they're equipped and independent enough to conduct a free and fair election? All right, I've been told that Mr. Biodushomi has joined us right now. Mr. Biodushomi, thank you for joining us. All right, we'll definitely find ways, of course, to have conversations with these individuals because we need to talk about what they think and feel about the elections. We're going to a short break. When we return, there's more. And thanks for staying with us. We're still having conversations about the Lagos State local government elections, and joining me to have conversations based upon that are public analysts Fred Nzako and Biodushomi. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'll start by asking Biodushomi, what's your take on INEC, especially the Lagos chapter? Do you think LASIEC is equipped and independent enough to carry out a good job as regards this election?
Well, LASIEC, just like any other state electoral body, it's seen, by Nigerians to actually be an appendage of the state's the ruling party in any state because of the outcomes of electoral contest in all the states of the federation. We've always seen a clear pattern whereby the ruling party wins all the seats. I agree with Fred Nzako on the submission. But what you see is that in Lagos, there's a kind of glamour which we actually put to it to make it seem as if LASIEC is more independent than other independent electoral agencies in different states of the federation. But in reality, I don't really see it in that way. We have a lot of weight in a situation where it is almost impossible in any part of the country for elections conducted, for opposition to even win a local government in any state, in any electoral contest. It does not bode well for our democracy. Nobody can convince me that it means all the people at the local level are thinking, the same way and they are voting the same way. And one thing which you also will note is the low turnout that normally characterizes all these local elections, and which, unfortunately, you end up seeing the high results being recorded. And I hope this will not be the case in Lagos State this time around, but to see the result. But in my view, I think LASIEC is not good for other state electoral agencies perceived as being manipulated by the ruling party in their states.
Now, let me come to you now, Fred. The ruling party in Lagos seems to have maintained a dominance at the local government level for decades. How does this affect democratic vibrancy and accountability in local governance?
I'll tell you without missing words and without any fear of equivocation that there is no credible local government election anywhere in Nigeria, including the one held today in Lagos State. It was not credible. It was marred by the usual issues that bedevil local government elections in Nigeria. And by the time the result that is being collected now, by the time the results are announced, the ruling party in the state will win at least 95% of all the votes cast in terms of all the local government chairmanship and the councillorship seats. Minimum of 95%. And that is why we say that there is no election. Because what they do is they do coronation that they call local government election. You ask my good friend Biodu Showumi whether they have the capacity to do so. I mean, last year.
Yes.
I tell you that every state electoral commission has the wherewithal, the capacity to conduct a credible election, but they lack the will. They lack the will to do so because they are never independent. They are only there to anoint and select, or rather anoint the already selected men and women whose names were selected in the government office, in the governor's office, and then they're only there to coronate them. That is exactly what goes on. And I mean, this is not the first time, and this will not be the last time until we get the process right. So nobody should begin to say, oh, there was an election in Lagos State. There was no election. And there is no election in any other state in Nigeria as far as local government elections are concerned.
Now, Fred, you've mentioned you've made this huge claim now that there isn't an election that has happened here in Lagos. You've called it a coronation. Do you think perhaps the low turnout, if at all what you're saying is true, do you think the low turnout of voters perhaps contributes to this coronation that you, as you claim, as you've labeled it?
No, the low turnout didn't contribute to the coronation. Rather, the coronation contributes to the low turnout. Because people know that going out to vote is unnecessary. It's a waste of time. They know it. They see it. They are not babies. These are adults. And they can be deceived time and time again. And I tell you, I repeat, that there's no state in this country that has ever conducted or that can ever conduct a credible local government election. So people, because of that coronation exercise, people feel that it is a waste of time, it is a waste of effort, and that's why they stay at home. So it is the other way around. The coronation causes the low turnout, and not the low turnout causing the coronation. Because even if people troop out to go and vote, the result will not change. The names have already been penciled. As a matter of fact, once somebody is nominated, the primary election of the parties is even more serious than the general election. So once you win the primary election of your party, to conduct as the election as the chairman or local or councillor in a ruling party in your state, you go to your tailor to start sewing your inauguration dress because it is as sure as victory. Nothing will stop you from being announced, except midway you fall out with the power that be in your party or in the government. Then you can easily be manipulatively changed. But as long as nothing has changed between in your relationship with the leadership of your party and the government in power in your state, just go and sew your clothes and then begin to arrange your reception ceremony because it is sure that you are going to be coronated. That is as low as it is. We have been saying this. Yes, the Supreme Court has given them financial autonomy, but it has been manipulatively sidelined and sidetracked by the governors. And that is why they will not allow a credible local government election such that the chairman of all the local government and LCDAs will be their men who can never say no, because they know that they didn't win any election. Therefore, they don't have the mandate of the people. Rather, they have the mandate and the authority of the governor to become the chairman of the local government.
Mr. Fred Ezeako. But right now, we're being joined by News Central's correspondent, Israel Efe-Robo. Israel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Israel, you were right there at the elections. Tell us what your experience was and what you can say, what you think about the election. Basically, what's your assessment on the whole process?
Oh yes, indeed. So much happens today, and it beats what's the word now? It's just unimaginable what happened today in Lagos. Some will say there was an election. Some will say it was a selection. Fred Ezeako just called it a coronation. Well, here today in Lagos, we were out and about, and we witnessed very, very low turnout of voters. The voter apathy was pretty high, to say the least. We got to some polling units across the state, and what we witnessed, what we saw, was a total lack of interest from the people. Some of them walked up to us and told us that News Central, we will not be voting, we will not be speaking on camera as well. And they said that they've tried calling some of the party agents, said they've tried calling people from their homes, to come out and be part of the process. That just did not work. So, and that's just about the mood about almost everywhere, But aside the polling units of the governor on Lagos Island, where it was a bit busy, every other polling unit that we visited were just pockets of voters who came out to just exercise a civic responsibility. But in all, the impact and indeed the mood was generally low, the turnout was low, and people were just really not interested.
What can you tell us about how the staff of INEC carried out the process? How would you assess them?
Well, for the staff of last year, they actually did their best. One of them did say that they were not able to get the materials out on time. Not everywhere, though, but for some places, like on Victoria Island, we had some polling units where there was a mix-up of the voter register, and so there were lots of back and forth, which made them not start the process there early enough. And even when they did get the materials in, eventually there were no voters who were coming in to exercise the civic responsibility, and that's just how sad the whole process was. For elected officials, yes, they were on ground in most of the places. Yes, I will say in most of the places, materials got in on time. They were there at the right time. They got everything, accreditation, verification, the voting process. Everything was on time. Well, it was on point, but the people just refused to come out and vote.
Tell us about the turnout of security operatives at this election. Did you think people felt secure enough to carry out their civic duty?
Speaking about people feeling secure enough to perform their civic duty, just a few days ago before the election, last year, they held a press conference where they assured Lagosians that they all should troop out en masse to vote, and that their vote will be counted. They should come out and vote without fear of any sort of what's the word now? Intimidation. But what we saw today was security operatives were everywhere. They said to us that for polling units, you will not get a number less than 4 policemen. And while that is not exactly true, I did count about 2 in each of the polling units that I visited today across the state. So I will say, in terms of security, I was called last year pretty high for this particular election. Yes, so security was high. There was no fear of intimidation whatsoever. The only major problem with this election, from my own observation, was the fact that the turnout was pretty low. And it brings to mind the importance of local government elections in Nigeria. How are people really rating this election? Is it indeed something that they are really putting their mouth where their money is when it comes to governance in their locality, which we know is very, very important? The question is, do they know how important it is?
All right, thank you so much, Israel, for your update on the election. I'm going to go back to Biodun now to ask you, Biodun, I'm hoping you can still hear me. What is your assessment of the financial accountability in Lagos state local government areas? Do you think are the council budgets and spending plans transparent enough to inspire the public?
Yeah, honestly, another issue which has contributed to the state of things that we found with local government elections is the disconnect between the electorates and the local government elected officials, in the sense that, look, go to any local government, go and point out, tell them to point out to what they have done or how they have contributed meaningfully to the lives of the people at the grassroots level. In many local government, if not all, they will struggle to explain it. So people have seen local government as, just another job for the boys. Kwango is another Kwango for the boys. So they have not seen any connection between the local government and their well-being, whether in health sector, education, social services, or in any other form. And that's one of the major factors that contributes to the low voters turnout. Apart from the issue of the ruling party always winning the results in all the states of the federation, the other factor is, we've all seen the Supreme Court coming out with a ruling, asking or directing that local government has a right to collect the allocation directly. But the governors have not let go, and that is what you begin to see, playing up. And simply because of that, and the presidency unwillingness or weakness, or weak response to implement the Supreme Court ruling, what you then tend to find is that the people just can't understand why there can't be any development in their own local area. So what is the point in coming out to vote if the situation will not change and it will still remain, the same game? The governors are not willing to let go simply because they depend on the money from the local government for some other purposes.
All right, sorry, we're pressed for time, but we'll just have to wrap things up as regards this conversation right now. But thank you so much, gentlemen, and also thank you very much, Israel, for the update. All right, still talking politics. In a bid to tackle voter apathy, end electoral fraud, and mobilize young Nigerians to actively participate in the upcoming general elections in 2027, several Nigerian youths have launched the I Vote movement. They say that the movement, which is non-partisan, aims to mobilize up to 50 million women and youths to actively participate in the upcoming elections and ensure that the votes declared by Nigerians' electoral body truly reflects the will of the citizens.
Now the young people are taking a position, and they will come from all the nooks and crannies of Nigeria to register their commitment to joining forces to building a new Nigeria where the welfare of Nigerians is considered above, over and above all, where coalition will not be about the names gathering. It will not be about the faces in ADC, but about the issues bedeviling the nation.
Through the I Vote strategic mobilization blueprint, we aim to, one, mobilize over 50 million Nigerian voters, especially youth and women, activate 10 million households to vote in unity, endorse and deliver a leader who embodies vision, integrity, and capacity.
In 2027, nobody is going to speak for the youth in Nigeria. We are going to speak for ourselves. And for those who think that the structure they are banking on is their structure, they'll be disappointed. We own the structure. Nigerian youth owns the structure.
We must stand in unison to canvass at the top of our voices for a change in our electoral guidelines and laws, to warrant and mandate that results must be transmitted from the polling units directly to the database.
Now the states converge for public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution as amended. We have details shortly. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. In the Northwest states converged in Sokoto and Kaduna for the public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution as amended. At the ongoing Kaduna hearing, Kano State delegates, being led by Deputy Governor Aminu Gwazo, have requested for the creation of additional 26 states. The Deputy Governor disclosed this in his presentation on behalf of the citizens of Kano, where he stated that the state has grown significantly in size and population. The remaining 6 states of the Northwest are expected to articulate their positions in their various presentations. In North Central, the House of Representatives Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution commenced also its public hearing in Minna, Niger State. The hearing, which covers Niger, Kogi, and Kwara states as Center A of 2 centers, simultaneously holding the hearing in the zone, brought together stakeholders from government, civil society, and traditional leadership, who presented a range of demands from structural reforms to the recognition of marginalized communities. Top of the lists were calls for constitutional roles for royal fathers, 46 new states, including 12 from the North Central, and over 100 new local governments. Speakers from Kogi and Niger states stressed the need for inclusive, people-driven reform, while others are calling for constitutional backing for Nigeria's traditional leaders. All right, we have Sagir Ibrahim joining us right now to have this conversation with us. Sagir, can you hear me clearly?
Good evening, George. I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you for having me on the news this evening.
All right, so talk to us. What is really happening with the demands being made from the Northwest? Talking about the Northwest now, because talking about the issues of formation of states, talking about traditional rulers, they want better packages for them, basically. Tell us what's happening with that conversation.
Okay, so it's basically the same conversation for the Northwest as well, even though I'm currently at the North Central. I'm at the Niger State capital at the moment. The Constitution review saw individuals cut across different strata of the society come forth to make their presentations, during the technical session to drive home demand, some of which, of course, includes state creation, gender inclusion, and reserved seats for women, particularly. The women were so particular about this, considering the fact that 108 seats in the Senate and around 360 seats in the House of Representatives, yet 5% of those seats so far currently are being occupied by women. So they feel the way to go. Currently, there is a bill in the House of Representatives that's been legislated upon for the creation of special seats for women, and they are supporting that bill 100%, saying it is the way to go, and of course, it will ensure the much-needed equity required to push these voices regarding gender inclusion, regarding ensuring equity between both genders, and of course, provision of much-needed care, education, and the likes of that for young women and also for girls. We also saw a clamor for an increase in the number of states. Talk about state creation. Here in the North Central, we hear states like Edo State, we hear states like the new Kogi State. These are some of the states, that have been agitated upon. And of course, we saw this clamor being brought to the fore during this zonal public hearing on the Constitution review. Agitators came forth saying that it's important for these states to be created to ensure that a lot of these individuals who should originally make up these states be brought together, because they have been scattered across different states, across different parts of the country, which has not given them an identity of some sort. We also saw the clamor for local government autonomy. Of course, you recall that there's currently a Supreme Court judgment affirming that transfers be made directly, from the federal government straight to local government coffers, but that has not been the case. There's been the call for a proper local government autonomy that provides and protects for the right of local government and, of course, grassroots government. There's also the issue of diaspora voting. There's the issue of independent candidacy, where agitators are calling for Nigerians who are living outside of Nigeria to be provided the opportunity to vote and have a say in who becomes the leaders of their country, because of course they may be in the diaspora, but then they are making diaspora remittances, and one way or the other they would want to return home, of course, to take up whatever land it is or whatever properties they've left behind, and continue to be the patriots that they've been. A lot of other issues also came, talking about labor, workers' welfare, protection of children, especially primary education, inclusion of persons with disability and their protection as well. These are some of the nuances, of course, that made it to the fore during the North Central Zonal Constitution hearing for the House of Representatives. I must also add that individuals who made up this meeting included traditional rulers, members of the civil society organizations. We saw top government functionaries, including members of the House of Representatives and also the Senate. We also saw attendants, from the state houses of assembly, of course, who also made their own passionate appeal as well. So this made up the conversation for the zonal public hearing today.
All right, thank you so much, Sagir, for giving us those updates on that. Now, from North Central, let's now move over to the Northeast. Umaru Kilawa joins us right now. Umaru, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, Umaru, talk to me. Tell me, of course, with the conversations around the 1999 Constitution Amendment, give us details as to what is being discussed in the Northeast right now.
Well, it's much more similar with what is happening in the North Central. The creation, the call for the creation of new states, local government areas, and of course, gender inclusion has been the top much ideas that people continue to push, cutting across civil society organizations, human rights activists, gender activists, and then of course even the traditional leaders, community members, and so on and so forth. But the major issue is that these calls are not coming for the first time. It has been a call for yesteryears that the people have been making passionately, but it's sort of an opportunity for them to re-echo their concerns to the government through the public hearing, which the government really introduced to hear from the people. But what many people are saying during the public hearing is that they want to see results. They want to see improvement. They want to see change. They want to see the creation of more states. They want to see gender inclusion at the National Assembly, both the Senate and, of course, the House of Representatives and state houses of assembly across the country. And they want to see inclusion in terms of persons living with disability. They want to see practical results, not mere arrangements of public hearing whereby they will echo their own concerns, and of course it will be documented and nothing will happen at the end. So the major problem of the people now is implementation of their yearnings, their aspirations, which they hope the government will consider so as to meet up with their expectations for a greater Nigeria, and of course greater new states, gender inclusion across the bicameral system of governance that we are practicing at the legislative chamber. But particularly for the people of Borno, they want the creation of Savannah State out of Borno State, consisting of 8 local government areas of southern Borno. And of course, in Adamawa, they are clamoring for the creation of Amana State. And other states, of course, as well, they are calling on the government to really consider their concerns.
All right, thank you so much, Umaru and Sagir, for the updates you've given us so far. And of course, trust me, we'll be willing to talk to you soon enough to give us more updates coming from this particular region. Thank you, gentlemen. Still to come, we'll be giving you updates on Cameroon's next presidential election. You want details on that? Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now to other issues outside of Nigeria. Cameroon will vote in a presidential election on October 12th. Now, this is according to a decree issued by President Paul Biya on Friday. Biya, the de facto candidate of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, of which he is a party leader, has neither confirmed nor denied whether he intends to run for an 8th term. Several long-standing supporters of Biya appeared to be distancing themselves from the 92-year-old head of state who has ruled the West African country for nearly 43 years. But the opposition is deeply divided and is struggling to unite behind a single candidate. At least 38 people were killed in Monday's anti-government protest in Kenya, the National Commission for Human Rights has confirmed. The violence marking the anniversary of a 1990 uprising made it the deadliest day of protest since youth-led demonstrations against President William Ruto began last year. Over 130 people were injured, with the worst violence in Kiambu, Nairobi, and Kajiado. The protests, originally sparked by a controversial finance bill in June 2024, have since grown into a broader movement against police brutality and corruption. Rights groups have blamed security forces for the deaths and alleged disappearances. President Ruto authorized police to shoot looters in the leg, warning against any attempts to overthrow his government. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un during his visit to the reclusive country. A video shared on Telegram shows the two leaders shaking hands and embracing. Lavrov conveyed President Vladimir Putin's hope for continued direct contact. The visit is the latest in a series of high-level exchanges as Moscow and Pyongyang deepen their political and military ties amid Russia's ongoing offensive in Ukraine. Lavrov also met with North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Sung-hui, who reaffirmed full support for Russia's war goals. Meanwhile, both nations have pledged to counter Western influence in the Asia-Pacific region. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Voting has ended while counting has started in the local government elections held across Lagos State. Northern states have converged for public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution as amended. We also told you that the government of Cameroon has set presidential election dates for October 12th. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screen. Also, do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. We're at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, GoTV, channel 23, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Chiwete Onyema.